Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be reacting to the predictions that I made before the Drive to Survive season came out to see how correct I was. I finally watched the Drive to Survive season, I finished it yesterday, so I can now react to all of my predictions. If you guys didn't watch my prediction video, it's the first video I've posted on this channel, so you can go and find it. I also do predictions for the whole of the 2026 F1 season, but obviously I can't react to them yet because the season isn't over, but I will react to them at the end of the season to see how right I was or how wrong I was. But I did 10 predictions, so this should be quite a quick video, hopefully. So number one, I put McLaren rivalry. That was such an easy, kind of cheap one to put. I could have gone a bit more complicated with them, but I just wanted to get one right. So obviously they did focus on the McLaren rivalry. I was expecting them to focus on it a little bit more. They didn't dramatise it as much as I thought they would, which honestly I find quite a good thing. I think they are, obviously they still dramatise things, but I think they're lying less, because in the previous seasons they used to mix up radio messages to races and stuff, and they would just jump around a lot, and I think they have kind of just been telling the truth a bit more and how the story actually played out a bit more. Obviously they did play a bit into the McLaren rivalry, but I think they definitely could have made it more dramatic, especially if they had chosen to focus on Oscar falling off a bit at the end of the season, or even just covering Lando's mechanical DNF. I think they focused more on just covering McLaren as a whole rather than Oscar and Lando's rivalry per se. They focused a lot on Vegas and Qatar in the last episode, the last two episodes, but they only focused on Lando and Oscar a bit. I also think because Lando and Oscar don't say anything harsh about each other, or anything about each other that could be taken the wrong way in the media, whether that be they're really well media trained or they are actually just very chill with each other despite the competition, I think then it's hard for Netflix to make any kind of story out of it, because I don't believe there was a story. I think they knew what was going to happen going into the season, and I just don't think there's any hard feelings between them, so there was nothing for Netflix to really make a story about. But I would say that prediction is definitely correct, because they definitely did cover it. I thought they would cover it more, but that's good. So number two, I said Lando mental health. Again, I thought they would cover this more. I thought they would make a big deal about it, about how he's not mentally strong enough to win a championship. When he had a bad start to the season, they did cover it a bit with showing how he'd been hard on himself, putting himself down and things like that. But I was expecting them to make a big deal about his mentality switch that he seemed to have halfway through the season that seemed to help him get the title, but they didn't. I'm glad they didn't make as big of a deal out of it. I think Lando's speaking out about his mental health has helped so many people, and I think sometimes Netflix has taken it and made it a negative thing. A lot of people in the F1 media has made it a negative thing, oh, is he strong enough to win this championship? Which is why I'm happy that he's proven them wrong, that he did win the championship, while still being open about his mental health and struggles and not always having the confidence in himself. I think that's really powerful for people to see, and I'm glad Netflix didn't dramatise it, but they definitely did cover it. So I would say that's another correct prediction from me. I'm doing pretty well. Number three, I put a stupid quote from Flavio Briatore, and I had known this was going to be a thing they covered. I'd hoped he would just be commentating on little things. I did not want a full episode of Flavio, although I did love how they did it, comparing him with, I want to say Jonathan, I'm so sorry if that's not his name, Jonathan Wheatley, the team principal of Stakes Alba. I'm so happy they compared it and then saw Sauber winning at the end of that episode, because I just Flavio said a lot of stupid things during that episode. I just think, obviously, you do have to have a certain kind of mentality to be a team principal and to win in a sport as harsh as F1. But I think Flavio definitely takes it too far, and I think he would rather blame his drivers than his car, when most of the time it is his car. And you can't put that much stress on a driver and play up rumours to the media, like with Jack, how he played up rumours to the media that he would be replaced with Colapinto, and then expect the driver to perform when they're worried about their future, whether they still have a seat in F1, and they're like coming from that toxic workplace. Like, it's just, it works on some people. I would say Max Verstappen, but a lot of people it's not, and I just don't think there's any room for him in the F1 world right now. But I knew there was going to be a stupid quote, and there were quite a few. Number 4, I said Cadillac. Unless I'm forgetting, which I could very well be, they didn't cover it as much. I think they said about it at the end. Yeah, they said about it at the end of the last episode, how there would be a new team last year. To be fair, I did say in my predictions videos when I was making this prediction that it might be covered more in the next season of Drive to Survive, and I think that's what they'll do. They'll have an episode on like the new team and how they perform during the 2026 season. I just thought it'd be mentioned more than once, but clearly I was wrong. But I'm looking forward to that being a talking point next Drive to Survive season. Number 5, the Doohan and Colapinto switch. They obviously did cover this. I kind of just touched on it. Yeah, it was very dramatic the way they covered it, but I think it was nice to see kind of how angry Doohan was. And it was, well, it wasn't nice to see. It wasn't nice to see, but it kind of gives more context to the moment. And I really liked Jack. And obviously it's not Franco's fault at all. And it helps people to centre that the decision was made by Flavio. Maybe not the best decision he's ever made. But I'm not saying that Franco's a bad driver. I'm just saying Jack could have been given more time or more warning, because he was saying to the media, like, oh, I know I have my seat, like, I'm not worried, they're just rumours, and then he was replaced, you know? Like, I think we need to communicate with our drivers a bit more, maybe, but obviously I'm not a team principal, so you never know. 6, I said Williams, and they did a whole episode. I loved seeing Carlos's first podium, and I love how James Fowles interacts with the drivers. I think that's a super healthy way to let the drivers speak their mind. James speaks his mind. Like, it's a very healthy relationship, I would say. It did hurt a little bit when Alex said, oh, I wish it was me who got the first podium. Just because he's been with them for so long, but I truly believe that 2026 season will be great for Alex, and I'm really hoping he'll get his first podium. But obviously Williams didn't look amazing during testing, so we'll see how it works out. 7, this was a very wishful thinking one, just because I really wanted them to cover it. I said Ollie Behrman, Mexico, P4. They didn't cover it. They didn't really cover any of the rookies except Kimi. Obviously, Kimi is the most obvious rookie to cover because he was going into such a big team. I expected them to cover Isaac a bit more just because he got a podium and he's moving up to Red Bull next season. But I understand why they didn't. There could have been more covering, but Gabriele Bortoleto and Ollie Behrman had like no screen time, so it would have been nice to see more. And 8, I put the rookies. I was expecting them to be a whole episode about them. Obviously they had the first episode was titled New Kids on the Block, and I thought it was going to be a full episode about the rookies, and it kind of was. It covered Isaac Hadjar's like formation crash and everything like that, but I just don't think it was covered as much as it could be. I would have liked to see more about all of the rookies and not just Kimi, but it was interesting to see the Kimi storyline. Number 9, I said the Verstappen and Kimi crash. It was televised twice, I believe, but it wasn't dramatised as much as I thought it would be. But I don't mind that, because obviously Kimi got a lot of hate at the end of the season and people started bringing that up. And I don't want any of that negativity again. I don't think there's any place in the sport for that much hatred towards drivers. It's so stupid. We've gotten very parasocial. Obviously, I make videos about Formula One, but I'm not going to go comment on someone's post because they accidentally had like an accident on track, or recently how people have been commenting on Lando's posts about his girlfriend. Like, that's not the behaviour we need, and I would never do anything like that because they live their own lives. We can't look up to them because they're not asking to be role models, they're asking to be racing drivers, and at the end of the day we need to realise that, you know. And number 10, my final prediction, I said they would cover the Verstappen charge, and they did. I think it would have been better if they'd gotten more interview moments with Max, but obviously that's not Netflix's fault. I'm sure Max said absolutely not when they asked him, which is totally fair, and I respect Max for that. They covered it in quite a respectful way. A lot of people thought they were going to be painting Max as a villain, but I don't think they did. I don't know if people have different opinions about that, but I personally believe they did it pretty well. But they only really covered it in the last episode. I feel like it would have been cool if it was a storyline throughout. But they did have that Red Bull episode halfway through the season, but that was mainly focused on Christian Horner. Oh, I loved the episode name for that. It was A Bull with No Horns, or A Bull Without Horns. That was a great episode name. Me and my sister loved that. So it's such a good episode name. The episode names were pretty good this season. Yeah, I think I liked all of them, to be fair. I think they were all pretty inventive, and you also kind of knew what they were going to cover, and I like going into an episode knowing what they're going to cover. So I think overall it was a pretty good season. I think they've definitely polished up some things that fans have been complaining about. Obviously it's still more dramatised. That's the thing, it's getting to a point where F1 itself is so dramatised within the races that Drive to Survive doesn't feel dramatised anymore, because it actually felt more dramatic in the moment when you were watching the race than what they can do on TV. Like, obviously they have people commentating over it, but it just felt more dramatic in the moment. So I just don't think Drive to Survive is that dramatic anymore. But overall, it was a good season. I did very well with my predictions. I think I just had that hopeful one of Ollie Behrman, of him covering his good performances. But I'm sure he'll do really well this season and they'll have to cover him. But thank you so much for watching. Go check out my other videos for other F1 predictions or just talking about F1 things. I will be doing a couple of book videos soon and maybe a couple of music videos. I haven't decided yet if I want to make a video reacting to Noah Kahan's new single Porchlight when it comes out, so let me know if you want that, because I might do that, or I might just listen to it by myself and then break it down on here if I can. I'm not like an English major or anything, I just really enjoy dissecting songs, so if any of you are Noah Kahan fans and you want to see that, please let me know. Let me know any videos that you want to see. I'm always open to suggestions. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.